By the time of Moses, Egyptians had abandoned building any more great pyramids, yet Saqqara and Memphis nearby remained as some of the most important places in ancient Egypt. If Moses learned all the wisdom of Egypt, then surely he would have come here. The pyramid that we were looking for is now right in front of us. What will we learn here about Moses' life in Egypt?
Really, you see them at distance and you can see they're big, but not until you actually get right up to them you can see actually how really big they are. Obviously stones are very small in compared to the other pyramids of Giza, etc. I think the man hours that would have gone into a structure. It says it's nice that they've eroded because you can actually see all the inner workings of it.
Well, now we're at Saqqara, and this is really the first attempt or the first time that they started to build a pyramid. So what we actually see here is the first pyramids of Egypt. It was the beginning of all the models. Of course, Giza is the most known ones, but this one here is how it began. As we looked around Saqqara, we thought about Moses as a young boy, growing up and learning the wisdom of the Egyptians and becoming a man mighty in deeds, just as the Bible says he was. But there were other things that caught our attention. For example, after Moses led the people of Israel out of Egypt, they rebelled and judgment broke out upon them. The Lord then instructed Moses to make an image of a serpent, and whoever looked at it would be saved from death. Could this have inspired the image which he made? We also saw images of ancient Egyptians, their boats, their jewelry, and we saw a tablet like the kind we imagine Moses holding with the 10 Commandments on. When Saqqara was in its prime, a pathway connected it to Memphis very nearby. Memphis was one of the greatest cities of ancient Egypt, but the fine temples, palaces and gardens were swept away into history. By the mid-1800s, one explorer found it full of human skeletons protruding from the sand. Much exploration has now been completed, but hardly anything remains. We have a map in our possession, which one of the first explorers made, but still there's so little here. If Egypt can lose many of its greatest cities and palaces, why then are we surprised that the records of a despised Hebrew slave population were lost? How can we expect to find Moses if entire cities have gone missing? If the greatest palaces have been lost, why are we surprised that the mud brick homes of an illiterate underclass who lived over 3,000 years ago are gone? As we searched for evidence for the Exodus account, an Egyptologist informed us that for many years in which the Hebrews lived in Egypt, there was a great period of disorder and decline. We could call it the Second Dark Age of Egypt, where Egyptian rule collapsed, and the Egyptian documents and monuments from this time are still missing, or they were never kept. Nobody said that looking for the Exodus would be an easy task. But these lost years of Egyptian history help to explain why the Hebrew enslavement still continued to be so controversial.